southern people, like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong, don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much. I could leave it all, I'm feeling low. Find myself on a brand new road. If you can't say something nice, you don't say nothing at all. Don't want you up in my life, 'cause you talk too much, y'all. Gotta go to church on Sunday, get a dose of the Southern truth. Grandma's house is just down the way, and she's missing you.
And good morning. Welcome to Southern Talk, Dave the AM, aka the Cornbread Man. Love that song. Just love how it came together. Had some comments on it through another site. Just people that like that song and just kind of the way it hits. Good morning, Miss Jen. How are you today? You are such a ray of sunshine and a blessing for the day. Hope you and Mom are doing good. And Sears, you'll have to show me your figures that you painted. I'd like to get those on screen. I think that's cool. Little project stuff going on. Don't know how you got into that, but that's cool. Hope your Saturday's going good, folks. Probably another hot one. Well, thank you. It is. I think it is. It's just, it kind of hits. It has a lot of, somebody told me one of the lines in it, they commented, they sent me a message the other day and they said, love the song. And where it says there's nothing's real. And I mean, really, you could take that a lot of different directions, but the way the song is kind of intended is because it says it later, it's a complicated life. It really is. There's a lot of complications. And here in the South, we love the South. It's a great place, but we got a lot of complications. Relationships are complicated. People's relationship to God and to their church, and don't tell the preacher, and I've heard it all. So it's not meant to be bad anyway. It's not. It's just statements of facts about. And I just wanted a song for this show, and that's my favorite song right now. Actually, of all the songs that we've created, it is my favorite, and I play it every day. We're fixed to have hoping to put together a little show. It may, I don't know if it'll be live or recorded, but it's going to dive into music talk. And if I can do it live, I will. Maybe live and then a replay on Saturday night. How about that? Because I'd really like to interact and talk about. So the first show is kind of set. It's just finding where to put it and everything. But this coming week, I want to do it. It's called. It's a name we've had out there for a long time. The Southern Fried Soundstage, and kind of was setting that up this week as we talked about. Good morning, Miss Amy, on the Instagram side, but kind of set that up this week as we were talking about music during the Cornbread Nation show. Getting kind of setting the stage for that, kind of slowly introducing that. Been out there for a long time, but the original intent was to do a Saturday night show, but I work on Saturday night. So, hello, Dean. So probably not. It probably will replay just as a live replay on Saturday night, so that we got, because we don't really have anything during that spot. We've done releases before on Saturday night, at 8:00. So I'll probably do that, but I'll probably do the show live because I just like music. I like all kinds of music, and I probably run afoul of some of my friends who are pastors and all, and they may not get that. I'm a fan of music, and yeah, music can be used to be bad. It can be used to be good. The double entendres, sometimes are not good, but a lot of music has it. But I like music, and I like many different things about music. Sometimes it's just the melody. Sometimes it could be a riff in a song. Sometimes it is the lyrics. It's not always the lyrics. If you got a great sounding song, lyrics can be secondary. To make a great song doesn't always mean you have to have lyrics that even make sense. And some of the artists that I have followed over the years, they will never let making, some songs don't have a deeper meaning. Some songs do. It depends on who wrote it and what they're, but to you, it can mean anything. That's the beauty of the art of music, is it can mean anything to you. 50s, 80s has got good music. Well, I'll agree. But the first show, good morning, Broski. The first show is going to cover a band that I'm very familiar with. Sorry, mustache bothering me. I actually got it forwarded out. I put it on one of the sites, and the city picked it up and reposted it. I don't know if it was. I'm sure it was a bot that sometimes read that their city was mentioned. But the first group I'm going to talk about, I'm going to play music that we've created, but we're going to talk about the story of Def Leppard, which I'm very familiar with, and we're going to kind of walk through the history of that band and kind of how that history aligned with my life and kind of where I was at different stages with that, and then get the people that have seen them or like them or don't even like them to talk. That'll happen this coming week. I'm just we're trying to work on a lot of stuff, and I'm trying not to over commit myself because we got the coffee kicking off this week. It's all ready. I've just got a couple of things to do tomorrow, but then we've got another big announcement. Huge. We're not ready. I've got to get that ready over the next week or two. So I got to have time to do that, and live stuff, work, all that. And I've got election day coming up this week. So Tuesday's a washout. So if I had to guess, Thursday night, probably we'll do that show live after Cornbread Nation show. But we'll see. But if you'd like to come in and talk about music, a lot of people love music. And this show is intended to have guests to come on who are musicians. It was always intended to have people come share their music as they play it. That didn't really kick off the way I wanted. So to push forward, I want to make it a sort of a music talk show, but with music involved. We can't, for copyright, play the music of the people that we're talking about because we don't have that license. But we can play music during the show, but it also have a talk show, and we'll work around a couple of things. But anyway, that song kind of, I've been sitting with it for a long time. I hadn't really done anything, and that song really kind of kicked me in the butt and got me ready to kind of move on and say, let's get this done. And that part of me really wants to move forward with that. and just going to do it. So just got to do it. But Monday will be the big kickoff for the coffees. We've still got lots of work to do on our Shopify store to add some things, and there's little quirks and stuff, but it works. We ran through it this weekend. We have made orders to the store. We didn't get the labels, and that was a big disappointment. In a way, we can still work around it. They did approve our label, but to get every label approved takes quite a bit of. You do it one at a time. They approve. There's a cost involved. It's a lot about FDA, but they love the SFP. They said it's a very professional logo, which it is, and so it works, and it's our logo. So what we're going to do is kind of, and not to get you to buy anything. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. We're still going to keep all the logos that we created, and we're going to create more, but we're going to put them on coffee mugs within our Threadless store. And there'll probably be a Printify store that come up within Shopify as well. But we'll put them on coffee mugs in there. And in the first marketing, which Miss Jen has saw, there's actually 2 or 3 of those, maybe 4 of those logos that are on coffee mugs, or the image that we were going to put on there. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to buy some at cost to take to, we want this next festival, but going forward, we're going to get some and take to festivals, not a ton of it, but, maybe 20 pounds or something, or whatever. And on those, we will put our logo because we can do that. We can get away with it there. So it'll still have the SFP on it as we get it, but we'll still put that logo on it. We'll still use them. In other words, we're not going to let them go away. We put a lot of work into that. It just, when we got into that part and they sent me all the requirements, I actually had loaded them on the packs. I had them up, but when they set up the store, I don't know. It was just maybe we could have got away, because I wasn't covering up any of that. Really what the FDA is more concerned about is, obviously things that are on there about the product, because it becomes under the Food and Drug Administration. That wasn't the problem. We weren't going to cover that up, but they do have requirements about the label itself, the size, where it sits. And I get that. You got to have rules, and that's your government for you. But anyway, we'll still do that. So big kickoff on Monday. We'll continue our marketing with Patriot Mobile and Mammoth and everything. In fact, we're stepping that up, but we'll tie all these together, and we'll get coffees out there. So I can't wait. What I would say is on the coffee, if you do order some, I would, feel free to order what you want. It's America, right? But get the sample pack. There's one sample pack that has 6, or actually 3 different sample packs, but one of them has 6 selections in it, I think. It's 5 or 6. I think 6. And the one I got has the 6 bean. It has the Mexico, Peru, or Bali, Peru, Cowboy, breakfast blend, all those. I liked every one of them. In fact, Bali Blue was slightly probably my favorite, but the breakfast blend was good. The Cowboy blend, all that. And there's many more I want to try. I've not found any I didn't like. Not bitter, some are just, more stronger than others, light roast, medium roast, dark roast, but they're good coffees, good company. So anyway, that's a big kickoff on Monday. We'll create more marketing to go out there. We'll get some special size marketing and the site itself has, I'm thankful that they put some in. We got to get it linked to our website. It's not linked there yet, but I'm thankful that in the coffee part, not the Shopify part, but actually on our coffee site, there's links there to Instagram, Facebook, and X, I think. I submitted one for Pinterest. Believe it or not, we do have a Pinterest site. I've just got to get more busy working with it. I need somebody that wants to work it for me and do recipes. If you're volunteering, you're hired. But it's meant to kind of whole nother thing. We do have a Pinterest site, though. And I don't know if they put that one up there, which that's not a big deal. But X, Facebook, those are big sites for us. And Instagram, I think, are linked there. So that was nice that they did that. Then we'll link that to the store and everything else. So it's a tough market, but we, as you grow, people People love coffee. Coffee always sells. So I love my coffee. Hope y'all are having a great Saturday. Yeah, Dean, tell me what kind of music you like. I mean, I know you like gospel. We like our gospel, but what kind of music, Dean? He goes all the way back to the 50s. Do you like uh, doo wop or Liberace? I'm sure it's not that. And I didn't do a sports show yesterday. Well, we'll get that. We might do that Monday or Thursday. I don't know. Can't do it Tuesday, but we'll come back and pick that one up. We'll do two in 1 week. We got to catch up. We got a lot to cover. And we'll be headed out Friday morning to South Georgia. Lots to do. Busy week. And Tuesday will be really slow because I bet they won't be but a handful of people come in the precinct, but that's okay. We're doing our part and it helps. And I love people, so you get to meet people. That's all good. I've got a couple of friends talking about music. I've got a couple of friends. I'm hoping I can get them to come on to a show or two. They're musicians, and then tie in with some music, local talent, and get them to share that talent. But we're definitely going to talk about music, what we like about music. You know, everybody's different, and that's why music is so different because everybody has things they like or don't like. And then sometimes we all like a lot of the same stuff. But then even within that, there's differences. You know, there's no shortage of comments when it gets to music, much like politics or anything else. But even more so with music because most people listen to music. I have met people that don't really listen to music, but that's like rare. Most people listen to music. While they're going in a car, they might listen to talk shows, but at home, working in a shop, through their Bluetooth, whatever, people listen to music. I do both. I listen to shows, I listen to music, I listen to other people's shows, I listen to our shows just for what kind of quality reviews. But sometimes I like to just go back through a show. Really enjoyed it, a lot of fun and funny things happen. I like to go back through that and re-experience. So I listen to our own shows, mostly for quality review, though. And then we replay our shows a lot. But I listen to other people's shows. There's not enough hours in the day to listen to everybody's. They're excellent shows. That's what people say. The problem with podcasting is that the prime time, which is really like between 7 and 10, a lot of people are broadcasting. And they say, I'd love to bring you up, but you're on the air. We could say the same thing. Now, sometimes people have a night off, and you can work out something there. I've done that, either on the show or crossing over to their show, which is fun. Exposes you to different people, and you get to know each other better. That's a fun thing to do, but you can't do a whole lot of it, or you never have your own show. It's kind of a catch-22. You do a show, you get known, people like what you got to say, and you kind of, build that brand that way. Then other people come knocking on the door and saying, hey, I'd love to have you on my show, but I don't know when we'd do it. You start looking at all the time slots, and sometimes you have to modify to make it even happen. So it's kind of hard that way. It's a good problem to have, though. I do apologize for having to leave the show last night a couple of times. My granddaughter was telling me wife needed my help. That's why. She's okay, but she's just having some, she just needs help. And it just happened that she needed help during the show. So I was glad that I could take the time to step away during those moments, not have to run commercials. So anyway, those things happen. I'm thankful for my granddaughter. She just, at that moment, she couldn't help. My son was at work, so my sister had already left. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Dean, he went on his trip. I can't wait to hear about his trip to Dawsonville, Georgia. He might not be listening now. He didn't respond to my music question, but he's got pictures. I hope he's got a little video, but he's got some pictures. I know. I'll have to work with him about being a roving reporter. I'm gonna go pick him up one day. We're just gonna go out and do a story. I've got some field work I want to do. That's a whole other part of the podcast that we haven't done in a while. We'll do some of this next weekend, but they're just sake of time. There's a lot of local interesting areas and stuff that I want to, and people to get some. People love that kind of stuff. Little short videos of things. There's a story I'm wanting to kind of walk back into that's been out there for a long time, and I went out to. I want to go out there and record. I've been talking about this for, oh my gosh, 8 months or more, and it's easier. I need help because of the filming aspect. I'll put a lapel mic on and just need somebody to work the camera as I sort of do. You know, we really are becoming a little more journalistic, and hope as we get credentialed one day through the college I have and through the work we're doing, and kind of get credentialed, get some press pass when we're able to. It'll give us a little more. You know, people look at you a little different when you got credentials and stuff. Broski says, as Catholic hymns and Gregorian chants, it's good for the soul. Amen. Well, I might have heard some of them. Probably have. I wouldn't say I've listened to them a lot, but I probably have heard them. I do have Catholic friends besides Broski Bear. I've never been in a Catholic service. It's not my thing, but there's differences there. But I've got Catholic friends. We have a Catholic church that's nearby here, and it was vandalized. And I was working on Saturday, which was a rarity, but I went in for something. And when I was coming back, this guy put it on my heart to stop by there and just tell him, you know, clergy to clergy. I don't like using that word, but, you know, sorry to hear that. The priest was pretty nice. His assistant was very, very suspicious of me, was not very open. I don't know. I guess because of what had happened, it was a brief conversation, cordial. I expressed what I wanted to express, but I wasn't invited in for coffee. We'll say that. It's like, thanks for coming by. It's like, okay. I had a great conversation. I was doing some street work in Atlanta many years ago. Me and a friend named Ron, who's a missionary, and we were working in the trying to think of what area. It's a Jewish area of Atlanta. I mean, not just Jewish, but it's heavily Jewish. And we went to a park, and they had a skateboard park there, and we were sharing the gospel and stuff. And I actually led a young man to the Lord there in that skateboard shop or park. But I ran into a guy, and he was there. He's Catholic, and we had a great discussion about history. He had brought his son there, I think. And anyway, we talked a lot about church history and stuff. It was great. And I had a young guy with me. And anyway, there's differences between faiths, and I get it, or denominations, whatever. So it gave me some talking points as I walked away to make this guy, question, what he think, and it was about it. Anyway, it was pretty interesting. We had a good day at a skateboard park. Random question. Have I ever been to Greenville, South Carolina? Yes, sir, I have. I've been there a number of times. I spoke at a church in Greenville. And actually the pastor's wife was she was a Jewish lady who converted, was the pastor's wife. They met, and she spoke at an event I had at my church. a couple years after that. Had a couple trips out there that were wasted trips. Wasn't Greenville, South Carolina's fault. Me and my wife got up really early, 4 o'clock in the morning, to be there at 8 o'clock a.m. at the Cornbread, which is not my favorite place. And I don't know what happened. I got stood up twice. Second time, well, my wife was upset. I wasn't happy. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were coming, or I forgot you were coming, or whatever. We had meetings set up with someone, and it just didn't work. And that's a long way to go for somebody to stand you up twice. So I have been to Greenville, South Carolina. I actually went to, I'm trying to think of the name of that church. I can't think of the name of it. I've been there. I might have been in a couple of churches in Greenville. The years start running together. It's not a bad journey out there. It's just the roads are so busy and everything, the interstates, especially once you get to Atlanta, going on over to Greenville. But it's a nice town. I like South Carolina. There's a town I passed through it. I read a book about a Confederate general and his military career, but he's also his political career and how crazy it was in that town. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's not Edgerton, but it's something like that. And I passed through it. I said, that's the courthouse. I read about that courthouse and how they ran through on horses with guns drawn, one political party running out the other political party. Maybe it starts with a B, Butler. It's something like that. And we were passing through going to a church meeting, and I was like, that's the town. I said, I'd read about this in a book and crazy stuff that happened there. It is unique. It's a good town, though, what I could tell. I've been to Clemson a couple of times. Been out to Charleston. What else? The Augusta side. I've been in South Carolina a bit. I'll tell you a true story. I went to go to speak at a church on the Augusta side. I guess that was. Yeah, I think it was the Augustus. Well, it might have been Greenville. It might have been Greenville. I think now that I think about it, maybe it was Greenville. Anyway, a number of years, this goes back a number of years. There was a series of storms that were coming across the South, and they were bad. So I was going to be speaking at this church, and the pastor, they had a prophet's chamber that we could stay at. And that we could they had a way for us to get a key and everything if we decided to come and use it. But the storms were coming through, and I just felt like we were on hold not to go. I wasn't sure. Kept getting later and later. And my wife said, are we going to go? And I said, no, these storms kind of worry me. I said, why don't we just get up in the morning early and we'll travel out? And we were going to be at a church that morning and a church that night. And I said, something about these storms, I just don't feel right about it. That was the year that it hit the Georgia Dome. Same storm system. Put a hole in it, the roof. Anyway, we got up and we saw the damage as we were traveling through. Lots of tornadoes. And my wife said, I'm glad we didn't go last night. Well, we didn't even realize how bad it was. We got to Greenville. When there was all kind of damage. We got to a roadblock. The police had the roadblock in this little area where the church was. And he stopped us and he said, I told him what the deal was. He said, I'm going to let you go forward. He said, but know this, there's a lot of trees down back there. He said, I don't think anybody's going to have church back there today, but you're free to go check it out if you can even get to it. And just be careful. There's lines down and everything else. So, because I was supposed to meet them at the church, anyway, we couldn't get to it. Totally cut off. So we come out, called the pastor, and his wife answered, and she said, I'm so glad you called. Said he was worried you were at the church. She said, I'll let him know, and to meet him at the Hardys. And basically, The church didn't get hit, but their church was surrounded by trees down all around it. She said you'd have to climb in to even get to the church, but it didn't damage the church. It was a blessing. It touched down like 2 streets over from the church. It was pretty strong F4. I don't think it was F5. It could have been. It was bad. There was trees everywhere now, massive trees too, not just pines. And we went to the Hardys and met him there, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely no church. We don't have no power. We can't even get to it. We're going to have to take and get chainsaws and cut our way in." He said, "We don't think the church is damaged in any way other than the trees being down." But that's my memory of being in South Carolina, Greenville. And we went on. So we left, and we went to this. I said, "Well, let's stop and have church somewhere." We found this church on the way. And the people were great. The leadership was not nice to us. I don't know. People get suspicious. I don't know what the deal was. The people were great. The leadership kind of hard-nosed. Just, I don't get it. And then that night we were at a church somewhere, and then we came back home. We just came on back home. But those storms, they were bad. But that's a good pipeline there for Georgia and South Carolina. That right there on the border. A lot of business there. There's a lot of, they say, I've never looked at it, but when on Sherman's march through Georgia, which was bad, and you can still see evidences of that, when he marched through South Carolina, they called it the 66 days of hell. 66 days of hell. That's how long they were there. And they say from the sky, even to today, you can see that path, how much destruction. It's never fully made it back. To this day, that's how massive it was. And they really wanted to pay South Carolina back because that was the first state to secede. And it was against the rules. They would go in and supposedly raid a place looking for contraband, bad people, soldiers, whatever, spies. But what they would do is they were, soldiers. They were stealing anything of value. And some of the officers would take their jackets off and put on a private jacket, and so they could load up because they couldn't do it. They just, if they got caught, they'd be in bad trouble. The other ones, they just turned their head. But I'm not much for flying, but I would like to see that and just see that to this day. Yeah, it is. I actually never been out to the fort. When they reburied the crew of the Hunley, we went out along with 80,000 other people. This is just people marching, 80,000 strong, as they reinterred these men into the graves at Magnolia Cemetery or whatever it's called. We started out Battery Point, and we marched the 5.5 miles there. It was a hot day, let me tell you. I was so beat. I couldn't stand up the whole time. I actually kind of went down to one knee. I was just beat. I did 7 different funerals, man. 7 different funerals. Thank goodness for those ladies who were serving us iced lemonade. Oh, my goodness. Saved me. Then they bust us back out to the fort. But we stayed at Fort, Sullivan's Island. I mean, not Sullivan's. It's Fort. It's on Sullivan's Island, but it's Fort something. Anyway, you can see the fort, but I never went out to it. But we camped there. But the funniest thing about that morning, they sent school buses out to pick us up in uniform to carry us out for the start of the parade, where we would start at, instead of having to march it. Save you 5.5 miles one way anyway. And they were nice enough to do that. Well, here we are, all these Confederate soldiers, reenactors, in these buses, school buses, with our rifles. They're not loaded. They black powder. But they work. I mean, they're real. You could fire something. But here we are. So we're sitting there with our rifles up, all holding them. And every driver was African-American. And they loved it. They laughed They said, this is fantastic. They were doing selfies with us. They said, I'm taking pictures because nobody's going to believe this. And it was so funny to be going through the early morning, people jogging down the street, and they would be waiting for the maybe we'd have to stop at a red light, and all the people sitting there, walking, would stare at the bus like, "What's going on?" It looked like an invasion, and it just didn't compute. It was we were all laughing. We had a ball. Those drivers, they said, this is great. Like, people get so bent out of shape on history. Come on. Just enjoy, your freedom, and you'll look back, and we can't help what happened in the past. We didn't do it. And there's some things we like, some things we don't like. But have fun with it, as best you can. I mean, we don't minimize suffering or anything like that. No, but at the same time, you don't got to go around angry all the time. It's not going to change one thing about the past, and it's not good for your health. So, I mean, why do that? And I know people on both sides of that equation. Just let it go. I mean, I don't mean like whatever history is you like, study it, share it, be passionate about it, but don't walk around with a doom and gloom all the time. Be thankful for every blessing we have. And that was a great example of that. Was people that just had fun and said, "Hey, this is great." They said, "Ain't nobody gonna believe you." She said, "I know. That's why I want to take a picture of you guys." But she said, they'll think I've been drinking. Oh, but that's a good area, Dean. If you go back, and history kind of, without going into the whole history of that, but they will always say, well, the South fired on Fort Sumter. And that's kind of what you get, like the South's fault. But what they were doing, because they were seceding, they were taking over federal installations because they now would be part of the South, the new nation. And what they told them on Fort Sumter is don't resupply. They just wanted a peaceful transfer from the Union to the South. And of course, they made that decision to do that. And so it got bombed into submission. But that they were trying to work that out peacefully. They didn't want gunfire. They didn't want. At that point, they were hoping not to have war. And this is what's amazing when you go back and look at the United States during this time. The U.S. military was only really about 30,000 strong. I mean, it was very small. I mean, they had to amp up to fight the Mexican-American War. They had to add. They didn't have enough. And the South had no military. They had some graduates of military schools. So they had to form armies and train them. So it was a buildup of military. But they went from either a very small military to raising up a bigger military to zero military. And nobody was ready for the carnage and the hell that was coming. And they thought that, it was a fever to go to war. And what they call Bull Run, we call Manassas, First Manassas. That changed everything. They saw the brutality of war. They thought it was kind of like, hello from Richmond, Virginia. Talking about the historical South. Taurus, all over the place, our roving Christian delivery man. I hope you're well, my friend. Be careful in Richmond. I love Richmond, but it's got some crime. It's got some crime. There's a lot of history around Richmond I've never got to go see. I've been to Richmond, but I didn't have the time to look at some things I wanted to look at. But I love history. So yeah, we've talked about, we're trying to put together a history show. We're going to, because we got so much history, like I'm talking about right now, and people love that stuff. But I'm trying to get a full time certified historian to come on at least sometimes, and I'm waiting to hear back. So I don't know if it's going to work out or not. Yes, yes, sir. We're going to try, brother. I've got to go to the old security later. I do security just on Saturday, sometimes Sunday, you know. And they've been good days, knock on wood or wood. I hope it's a good day today. I really do. I like meeting people. I like doing what I do. Nobody likes trouble, and hopefully we won't have any of that. And just have a good evening. And people appreciate that we're there. There was a lady coming out very late out of the store. It's been a couple of weeks ago. She didn't realize she was the last customer out of the store. She was an older African American lady, and she said, "Oh Lord, I didn't realize how late it was." And she said, "I am so glad you're here." I said, "It's my honor to be here." I said, "That's why they have us here, so that we can catch the last customers and a few employees that come out after close and they're headed home. We're out here in security for them." And I said, I got you. Take your time. We're here." So it makes you feel good to be with folks. I mean, some people may think that's nothing. Like, I ain't worried about it. I'm going to tell you what, a lot of people coming out late like that, it's unnerving to them to think that they might be alone. I've had people waiting on Ubers that were delayed, and their phone was about to run dead, and they were getting concerned because they like, "Are you not fixing to leave? Are you?" Like, "No, I'm here to midnight." And they're like, "Oh, thank goodness." And they just sometimes those Lyfts and Ubers can be running really late. There's so many calls and only so many of them out there. Sometimes there's not enough work, but sometimes there's tons. Um, let's see here. Now McDonald's combo like quarter pounder, cheese, bacon, large sauce. Cost. Oh well, I'm gonna tell you what. Back in the '70s, I can't go to the '60s and tell you, but back in the '70s, my family of four could eat for $20 at McDonald's. In fact, I could get full for less than five, a lot, because those combos were really cheap. They started getting a little bit more. I mean, it's really only been in the last few years that they went over $10. Most of the combos by itself were, they tried to keep them under that mark for a long time, but now it's a lot more. And here's what's sad. I went to a drive-through the other day. It's a restaurant. I like the restaurant, but they've upped their prices. And a meal that had what was it? What did I get? It was a turkey dressing kind of meal, potatoes, okra, toast. $14. $14. You can go through the drive-through and get like a Jack's large double fries combo. It's around 12. The good is higher than, that thing that you shouldn't eat. And that's why people do that. But now that they've kind of got priced up like that, it's the scale is not as much. So people, you can make a better decision than doing that. But I won't lie, I've always kind of liked McDonald's. I kind of was there. My dad took us when we were little, so I still go there from time to time. I'm a Big Mac fan. I like them. I like the quarter pounder too. Um, yeah, it was quite a bit less. Expanded explanationist. Hey, I'll try, man. But yeah, I remember my dad. We only went one time a week. It was Friday night. It was considered the one night a week we would eat out. We ate at home the rest of the time, and it was always McDonald's. My dad liked to go there, and it was probably less than $15 if I had to guess. It might even have been closer to 10 or 12. In fact, it probably was 10 or less. Just thinking, because he didn't make that much money back then. But I think it was probably just probably 18, 17, 18. Take the whole family out at one point because I went and got it before. There were a couple of times where he just had me go get it once I started driving. And by that time, it seemed like it was around that 16 to $18 mark in there. So he gave me a 20 and it covered it, you know. So, oh, I like it. I like that word. I'm going to remember that. Explanationist. That's cool, man. You should get credit in the dictionary. You should put your name beside that. Reminds me of, you know, those movies about Rome or something. I don't know. Shakespeare. Oh, are you still driving a box truck, or do you drive the big trucks too, like the full 18 wheeler? Because I think when I saw you, I think you had a box truck. Am I right? Big box truck, but it was a box truck. And you do get around, man. You are all over, but I know how it is. You go where they send you. That's a lot of, and you go pretty far up north. I hope they don't make you do that during snow. That's the only bad thing. I wouldn't mind doing. I mean, if you got to do what you got to do, but to do it in the snow would, man, that'd be horrible. I mean, it's got to get there. I get it, but wow, we down here we get a little bit of snow and we're like slipping and sliding and everything else. They're getting like snow drifts that are taller than a house. I'm not down with that. Found a straight truck, less money but less problems and worries. Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, at the Walmart that I'm at, they've kind of clarified a little bit, which is the one I met you at. Is they they don't want them to stay like 2 or 3 days. They can stay for from night to morning. They kind of want them to get pulling out early in the morning. But they've asked them to park on the very end of that parking lot. They have the last lot pole before the end of the property. They want them to park down there so that they're out of the way. And, I think that's cool. There's not enough parking around Chattanooga for trucks. It's a bad problem. And the national, the federal, I think the federal, I don't know, or the states or somebody's going to have to do something about this because there's nowhere for these guys to park. You tell them they have to get off the road, but there's nowhere to go. The rest areas are filled up. They write you a ticket sometimes for parking on the side of an on ramp or exit ramp. They still do it around here because there's nowhere to go. There's some stations that will let them park, but they fill up really quickly. Most private property will say no trucks allowed, so they're afraid of getting towed off. It's a real problem, and it's getting worse. And I'm not an expert, but I've talked to a lot of drivers. And Chattanooga, I mean, there's not that many rest areas. You got to go out 40, 50 miles to find the next one. So around bigger cities are going to have to come up with some kind of an answer for this parking issue. If we're going to send all these trucks out there, we have to have some kind of a way for them to rest. You'll get in trouble if you don't make that, you don't make that rest. Amen, brother. The worst place for parking certain vehicles like trucks, and I don't doubt it. I know it is bad around here. You said Charlotte. Broski's not. He's our man on Charlotte scene, so he'll have to tell us. I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that at all. But more and more goods and services are being sent by truck and rail. But even some of the rail is also truck because right, you got to take it from the rail to the place. So either that's those containers that they'll put on the truck, or whatever flatbeds or whatever. So you still have truck involved, even if you're using rail, because rails don't go everywhere. They go to where they go, and then stuff gets picked up. But these drivers are panicking, and they're very kind. I have talked to some amazing guys, and they're respectful. They treat me with respect, because sometimes security gets. Sometimes we get mislabeled. I know there's some idiots out there, and I'll say it. There's some idiots in uniforms. That's not me. I may be an idiot sometimes, but it's not with this. And I've talked to these guys, and they're just real. One guy even asked me the other day. He was from Georgia, down around Macon, and he was asking me if it was all right while he parked and went in and shopped. And we get that all the time. I'm like, oh, absolutely. And they like it also that I'm out there so that I can watch the truck. I mean, you think during the middle of the day that's locked that you wouldn't have to worry, but they do. So they'll say, or that sometimes they'll have some people meet them, and they'll go out to dinner with people that they know in the city, and they'll say, "Is it okay if I leave the truck?" And they'll say, "How long are you going to be here?" And I'm like, "Till midnight, brother. I got you. I'll keep an eye out for it." And it just makes them feel better. So, I get it. Down in Florida, if you go into Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, they have these massive truck stations with a small hotel repair shop. Well, and that's what I think you need. And we just got to get with the program around here. You got to have something. I mean, I've talked to guys, and they're like, because I don't. At one time, they didn't tell me that I could tell them they could stay. So I would say, well, they generally don't bother the truckers, but I can't tell you it's okay. I'm glad they kind of clarified that. And so sometimes they're, all I would tell them is look, sometimes they do bring tow trucks in here, but that's for people parking. They don't want parking here, like trucks and cars. And I'm talking small trucks, pulling campers. People, there's all these people that move around that are sleeping in parking lots, and Walmart has them. And they've had to clean it up before. If you don't, you'll have a small city there. But they usually don't send up the truckers. But I would tell them if they'll tap on the window, they wouldn't start hooking your truck up. But generally, they're probably not going to bother the truckers anyway. But still, that's another thing. You're trying to get sleep, and you're worried that somebody's going to come in and start beating on your window or something. And on the flip side of that too, I talked to a truck driver that said Walmart never had a problem with it until some of the truck drivers were tearing up their property. And he said, I know, I'm a truck driver. And he said, I've saw it myself. They would just drive over stuff instead of, because they don't know what they're doing. They would tear up their concrete and stuff. And he said, that's why a lot of Walmarts kicked a lot of people out. And I understand that. And he said, it's not Walmart's fault. They would run over trees, planters, or, places they have little landscaping. They busted their concrete up because they don't know how to drive. And there are some people out there, I don't know how they get the license. They don't know how to drive. They're just bad. I guess because there's such a need for drivers, they're rushing them through these driving schools. And that's why I try to stay away from truckers. One, it makes, I don't want them to feel, me being their blind spot or whatever. Two is they might not be the best driver. Everybody ain't got the 6 million man hours of accident-free driving. You got some of them, they're idiots, just like there's idiot drivers in cars. And they'll run all over you. They don't know what they're doing. And I've had them run all over me before, sometimes on purpose. There's just some bad people out there. And they make the good people have a bad name. But he said that himself. He said, I'll say it. You don't got to say it. He goes, it's the truck drivers themselves that messed us up. And he said, I just recently got out of it. I've talked to people like that too that are getting out. They're a little tired of it. They've been doing it for a long time. They're going into other kind of work because they're a little tired of putting up with all the stuff you have to put up with and being away from home. But a lot of it's just the roads. It's every road is backed up now. It's not a fun ride. The roads are beating you to death. They're trying to write you a ticket at every turn. There's nowhere to stop and sleep in some states. They don't want to deal with the snow. It's just all kinds of crap. And so some of them are hanging it up. A lot of the drivers that I've seen lately have been young people. The older ones have retired or gotten out of the business or whatever. And some of them are husband, wife. They both drive. That way you can work those hours. And they just come to Walmart to stock up. You can always tell that group. They got the buggy coming out. It's packed up. They're loading up for the next 2 weeks or a week or 2 weeks. They're getting their groceries. Oh, you would think Memphis and Nashville have it because they're bigger cities. Knoxville, well, they are. Chattanooga and Knoxville are very close. Chattanooga's almost has more people now than Knoxville, but they're very close. And yes, those are bigger. It's the way goods roll through the South. Chattanooga is a gateway to Florida, and it's that 75 corridor. So I really think they need to build a bypass around Chattanooga for the trucks and stuff. Not a huge one, but one that's out a little bit. I just think it'd be better. Now, they've been talking for years about, and maybe I think it's going to happen one day, an interstate hookup from Memphis to Atlanta. That's been talked about for a long time. That would be huge. That would lessen some of the traffic coming through Chattanooga and even Nashville. It would help. It's not going to cut out anything. There's still tons of traffic, but that would help. And you could do more of a straight shot. But that's a lot of money investment. But I think it should happen. Also, they've talked about the rail line from Chattanooga to Atlanta, the speed rail, forever. Millions have been spent in studies on that, but they just never seem to get it off the ground. They do the shuttles from here to Atlanta every day, and to Nashville and to Knoxville, and because people don't, Chattanooga Airport's growing though. It's more and more flights are direct flights, but there's a lot of activity on the roads related to that. But in Atlanta, of course, 285, I hate it. I call it Death Trap 285. It's horrible, and it's overloaded. Now they've said years ago, 2 decades or more, that they need to build another one further out. I think that one's 20 miles out or something. They need one about 50 to ring around Atlanta. The Atlanta traffic is so massive. I mean, just look at it. You guys have drove through there. You've seen it. Florida has 2 highway corridors, the 75 corridor, which goes to Georgia, Tennessee, the Midwest. Yes, 95, and I've been on that, which goes up the Atlantic coast into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Yeah, I've never rode it that far up, but I have been up through it. I've been on sections of it in different states because it was needful to take it to get to a place to get back off. But yeah, these were massive highway projects. And think about what they did before they had 75. I mean, it was all back roads. You had the old 41 highway. The 41 highway, which is still there, that was your way you went. And, of course, across the United States, Route 66 and all these roadways that go through these towns. But 75 was a massive undertaking. And I'm sure 95 was it as well. Interstate 40, 20. You think about these different ones. 40 goes a long way. Then you have Highway 10 that goes into the Gulf Coast of Alabama, Mississippi. I don't know if I've been on 10 before or not. Maybe. Maybe. When you're going through out that way. Now, I have went down 59 down and whatever it turns into when you get into, what is that town in Mississippi as you make the turn? God, I know it and I can't think of it. And then I can't think of the name of that. Is that 10? Maybe it is. No, it's 20, ain't it? I don't have a map in front of me, but I've rode through there a few times. I think we stayed in that little town once and ate breakfast there. I've liked to travel if I have money. You got to just be ready for things to happen. Two most congested areas in the South are Georgia, Atlanta, and the great. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you got the busiest airport in the world at Hartsfield. They've traded that back and forth with Chicago and others, but I think they hold that title. I love to watch planes take off and land. My wife loves that too. But it's finding a place that's a good place to see that. It's fun to watch. Just they come out. It seems like they come out of nowhere. You can't hardly even tell what they are, and they're just everywhere. Can you imagine how pressure filled that job is to be an air traffic controller in at Hartsfield International Airport? Wow, that place is crazy. I mean, it is a city of its own. I was watching someone was doing a video about like fixing the borders of the states. One of the things I said was give the state of Alabama. Well, when you go down there, it feels more like Alabama than it does Florida. It really does. It's just country folk, cotton fields until you get closer to the coastline. I mean, but when you cross over the border, nothing changes. I think when everybody thinks they get the Florida line, it's, oh, we're now in Florida, palm trees. No, it's just country. It's kind of a shock to people that's never done that before. Like, these are cotton fields in Florida. Like, yeah. Oh, it's different. Very different. Yeah, man. Prayers to you, man, and the president. God bless us all. You be careful out there, brother, in Richmond. We appreciate your check-ins. You have to send us a picture here and there. We put them on screen. You need the selfie shot with these different areas you go when you get in front of something cool, Taurus. You could do that for the podcast. Just send us a picture of you somewhere. That would be cool. We got Robert on the 18 now, dog tag. Now we could get Taurus just giving us some locales from around. That'd be cool. You can do that, man. We'll send you something as a gift to do that. That'd be cool. Outside of Panama City Beach, and Santa Rosa cities, and yes, that Santa Rosa County that gets different down there, but when you get close to the cities, but it starts changing. There's no sub shops for pigs. Okay, yeah, man. Yeah, we'll work out something, dude. Absolutely. Safe travels to you, brother. We met at a Walmart. I'm glad he's hung around. A lot of people tell you they'll check you out. He did. He did. He's a friend. He's a breadhead now. He's a friend of the podcast, so, and a patriot. Hey, he gets it. A lot of people don't get it. You wish they did, but they don't get it like some people should in the nation. Hello to all of you and Instagram. I see you there. I like that. Faith and hope. To you, Jesus loves you too. That's awesome. I like things that make names, and all the rest of you too. and I appreciate that. Different screens. I've probably got some messages here. We have different screens up. I only have so many screens, so I have to flip back and forth between some of the pages. But we appreciate everybody that's in here today, chatting on a Saturday. I'm good for a little bit longer. We got a lot, like I said, a lot of things going on uh, this week. So it's going. The schedule should stay relatively the same, except for the weekend stuff. But I'll be doing that from in a little bit different way. We have a live stream going Saturday, and we'll get a lot of interviews and stuff. We'll talk to some people. Hopefully, technology will do what it's supposed to do, and everything will happen the way it's supposed to happen. We will see. Well, once you get into South Florida, it's completely different compared to the Space Coast. Yeah, it is. Everybody, people have this idea about how a state is, including Georgia, and when you get they have no clue. You know, and really all states are like that. I mean, everybody thinks of California as LA. That's a very diverse state. Beautiful state. A lot of nuts in LA, yeah, but that's a beautiful state. Great parks. Got that coastline. It's a lot of cool stuff there. How far am I from Pigeon Forge? Well, if I could do it as the crow flies, it'd be a lot closer, but we try not to push it. Usually that's about a 2.5 hour trip for us. We love to go there. We haven't been able to go there lately like we normally do, but soon. I usually don't go the back way, as some people call it. I just ride them through Knoxville and go in the front door. I don't. You get on some of those back roads and stuff, and things just don't. They don't. You know, it has its pros, but I'd rather just stay out where you've got gas and places use a restroom or whatever. So I just go, as I call it, in the front door. Once you're gonna have traffic anyway, so I know the back roads around up there. So when I get into town, sometimes I'll just jump on a back road, ride in. But it's all good. Just being there is worth it for us. We enjoy it. I generally don't go to Gatlinburg. It's just smaller. There's stuff there, but it's really cramped, and the roads and stuff, and there's just nothing there that I have to see. So we generally stay down in Pigeon. We stay there and we go to places around there. We will always take a ride up there to Gatlinburg and kind of drive around. Then we come back. I'll tell you how it is. Culturally, from Fort Myers all the way to Jacksonville, they consider themselves part of the South. Once you get to South Florida, they consider themselves the Caribbean. Well, they're not that far from it, and a lot of them are Caribbean-based. Sure. My cousin, who's a truck driver, was in the military during the big influx of Cubans into Miami, and they were there to keep the peace. Things flipped really quickly. But yeah, that's just the way it is, man. It's different. That's why they call some places Little Mexico or Little Havana. There's so many people from those areas, or have her background is from those areas. It's totally different. It's just a different thought process. That's true. I've never been lower than let's see. I've been to Tampa. Been to Tampa. I've not been to very, very extreme South Florida. Charlotte is infamous for shootings at restaurants and road rage shootings. It's gotten out of hand the past 5 or 6 years. Why the rise in that? Well, I guess road rage is everywhere. But I don't know why it would be shootings at restaurants. Interesting. I hate that for you. I mean, that's no fun to have to deal with. I and talking about active shooting, there was I think this was in Charlotte, not Charlotte, excuse me. Brain said one thing, mouth said another. Charleston, South Carolina. Anyway, these two idiots come into a restaurant and they're going to hold it up. So they tell everybody they've got to go to the back. You know, they're going to hold them captive, I guess, or something until they get all this money. I don't know what they were going to do. And there's something about some people, it's a real thing. Some people, they just blindly go with what they're told. So, and some people are like looking for every opportunity they can to escape or whatever. Some people just paralyzed. And as they were going to the back, they ended up killing a couple of people. And they got these guys, but they shot two people, I think. But as they were going to the back of the restaurant, there was an open door to the outside. And people said, hey, there's a door. Let's go. And others said, no, let's go to the back. You know, we're going to do what they say. I know what my option would be. The door. Without a doubt. I would, no way am I listening to those idiots. And some of them got away, and some of them were held hostage for a while. I think they had a shootout with these guys. But isn't it amazing, human nature? Some people just will blindly go. I've always said I will not be that guy that they hold me at gunpoint and they say, get in the car. We're going to drive you somewhere up. No. We're going to do whatever we're doing right here. I'm not letting you drive me to some secluded spot where the hole's already dug and you shoot me and throw me in. We'll just have this out right now. I'm not doing that. I'm not. Just, I'm not doing it. Let's see here. Anthony says, I have. Not too long ago, my granddaughter got free tickets. Two of them did, and we went there. Dollywood. I have been there. It's a nice place. About a month and a half ago, a Popeyes manager shot a customer because he complained about burnt biscuits. I'll put a cap in you. You don't like my biscuits? You ain't going to like this either. The guy, he's just packing. Golly. Hey, I went to Popeyes once here in town. We've been somewhere. I don't remember what we were doing. It was a few of us. Restaurant wasn't busy. We made our order. The manager looked at me a couple of times. He just sized me up, and I thought, man, are we not supposed to be here? Like, what's going on? The manager comes up there. He said, you a preacher? I thought, uh-oh. I've been called out. I said, yes, sir. I have my suit on. He said, sir, you go ahead and get your seat, and we'll bring your food out to you. And they did. He told them people in there, he said, you take care of this man and his family. He's a man of God, and you take care of them. If you make sure they don't need nothing. That was a lot of respect. I'll never forget that. I was reading a story once a guy in Canada held up a convenience store dressed up in a chicken suit with a raw chicken. Don't make me use my chicken. You know it's bad if they start laughing at you. It's like, look at he's got a chicken suit on. He's got a chicken in his hand. It's like, going on, dude. You lost. Across the street from that Popeyes at a Steak and Shake a few years ago, a customer shot two employees in the restaurant. And I like Steak and Shake, although they've gotten high. But they ended up finding out the guy was not right in the head. He was high on cocaine and acid. Well, we could tell he wasn't right. I wonder what he thought he had in his hand. Bazooka? The customer at Popeyes wasn't packing. That's a true story. That's crazy. There's just some people out there. They snap. They just go full on crazy. Don't mess with people. You never know. I stopped at a McDonald's in Jackson, Tennessee. We had to stop to get gas, use a restroom. We got it to go. And while my wife was in the restroom, I went to the restroom first, and we always would watch the car. So like one would go, and because we had stuff in the car, audio, visual equipment, whatever. You couldn't hide everything. So anyway, I told her I'd get it. She goes on back out to the car, gets in and locks the doors while I'm in there. But all the workers were in the back of the restaurant. Nobody's watching the front of the store at all. And they were back there acting like they were playing basketball. I mean, there's not one worker paying attention in the front of the store. So finally, some guy looked and he's like, "Oh, I think there's somebody up there." I could read his lips. And the girl's like, like, I gotta go do my job. I said, "I'm sorry I took you away from your basketball game." Well, she didn't like that. Oh. The guy thought he had a pistol or knife in his hand. Sure. Oh, he thought he was a bad dude. Have y'all seen that video? It's all over. I've seen it all over. I don't remember if it's Facebook or Instagram. The dudes at the golf course fighting. If you haven't seen that, you got to see it. That one guy, he full on like calls this dude out. Like he started his mouth, like, "Let's get it on." And he gets wore out. I think he's drinking. He got thrown in the lake or the pond or whatever it was. He got punched in the face multiple times. He got slung down like a rag doll. He kept getting up, coming back for more. It was like a mercy thing. Like, dude, don't do it again. He'd just come stumbling back up there, and the guy would throw him down. Like, stop. He wore his face out. This guy's a lot bigger than him. He's had enough. What it was is I think the guy was taking too long at the hole. He'd been there 23 minutes. And he won't get out of the way. So, they got an argument about it. And the guy's like, "I'm tired of your mouth. Let's get it on." He takes his glove. "Let's get it on." And he goes at him. He gets a whole lot he didn't want and more. He got wore out. Another group, have you seen those guys on, I think it's Instagram? They think they're tough, but the one dude always jumps off of stuff, and they have to hold their phone up to remember their little sayings and stuff. They're really bad. I mean, they're not good, but they think they're tough. And I watch it only because of how hilarious it is to watch these guys. The leader of the group of this band of misfits, he's always jumping off of something, a bucket or a fence or something. Not high up. It's like he acts like he's jumping off of some cliff. And he about twists his ankle, I think, every time he does it. And they pull their phones out. And there's always guys in the background trying to act like they're bad. Because I watched it once, it keeps popping up. It's like a wreck. You have to keep watching. It's like, this is not good. But you can't stop watching it. I'm thinking, I can't believe I waste my precious time in my life to watch these guys. But I really watch it, then I want to read the comments and what people say. It cracks me up. This one guy in the video, and one of them they did, he was the third guy in line to do his little, it's almost like they're rapping, but they're a bunch of white guys. There's a couple of African Americans in the group, but they usually don't say much. They just bring the heavy. And the one guy, he had to punch it. He had to like open his phone up. He was waiting so long his phone closed. So when he's ready to go, yeah, and he has to open his phone up. It like ruined the moment for him. It cracked me up. Where do these guys come from? Hey, at least they're not out robbing stores. They're having fun. But it's hilarious. Social media has done something. It's truly amazing. It's sad in one way. In another way, it's very revealing. And we do almost have to watch sometimes. It just shows you how many people in the world are mentally disturbed. And I say that with all due respect. Either through medication or life just dealt them a bad deal. And through this world of being able to go live within 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds, anywhere you're at, there are so many people that go on video. And it's like, what am I watching? And you said, I can't even figure this out. And it's at times you wonder if it's a skit and like they're putting things on. And there are people who they're just a skit. I mean, I'm sure there's people tuning in the Southern Fried and go, what the heck is that? What did I just watch? I mean, I get it. But there's these people and they go live a lot and they'll do little short, or they record themselves and then post it. And I'm not even talking about all the people that are getting half naked and all that. I mean, I just, there's never a shortage of people that want to do that. It's crazy. I'm just talking about people that do, like, they show you how they do their own karate and they're not really good at it, or they dance, or they play an instrument but they're not good, or they sing, but hey, they're having fun, and I'm all for that. But it's like these people who would never get a stage anywhere, like nobody's giving them a job, they've got a stage and they have followers, and it cracks me up. Some of them have thousands and thousands of followers, and they tune in every day, and they'll say in the chat, they'll say, I don't know why I watch this. I can't stop. It's like, it's really an interesting dichotomy of where we're at socially, culturally, all around the world. This is in every country. You don't even have to understand the language to get kind of what's going on. It just cracks me up. I have before many times. Guy falling through the roof of a comedian store. I have watched that many times. I haven't seen True TV in a while, so I don't know what channel it's on. We've switched around a couple of times, so I haven't actually watched True TV in a bit. I've been flipping around to different ones. We usually are trying to watch a certain sporting event, and so half the year we're on one, then we close it, then we open up the other one. No contract, which is great, and we just pay for it, and then we'll stop it, and then we'll pick another one up. I was watching a skit by Steve Harvey, and he was talking about Ebonics, and he says that the people are sticking up convenience stores, usually uneducated, because they think it's a good idea. Well, in their mind, in their little bubble world, they really think they're going to get away with it. They do think it's a good idea. And they go in there. I mean, in today's world with all the cameras, criminals, they just walk right up. Oh, they'll look right at the camera like, oh, what's going on? I'm just your guy I'm going to steal your lawnmower and other garden tools and weed eaters. And hey, how you doing? I mean, they just like wave at the camera. And within, a day or two, these people are being perp walked to the jail. There's some dumb people. I've seen some of them, they're going to steal. So they cover their face. They've got the full-on mask on. But then they'll wear a hat that's got something on the front or a shirt. And people go, hey, I know a guy that wears that hat and shirt. I see him all the time. I think I know who this is. So they call up the police and say, hey, check this guy out. I think that's that dude. And he gets arrested. It's like, you idiot. You you covered your face. Oh, I'm invisible. But you wear something, a business or a school or something that you're connected to. Moron. What'd you think was going to happen? It's not funny. At the same time, it's funny. Oh, I do believe there are no perfect crimes. It's just sometimes we don't know how to collect the evidence. In this day and time, with all the technology we have, you absolutely are leaving some kind of evidence. It's just, can the evidence that's collected be traced back to you? In some way, it always does. It's just they don't know who you are. And that's why sometimes years later, guy gets picked up, he gets DNA'd or whatever, and the computer goes ding, 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 we got a hit. But there's always, or they don't know how to collect it. They bungled the investigation. They didn't collect the evidence the right way. There's people better at hiding their sins than others, but there are no perfect crimes. There's always evidence. Always. It's just how much, and is it collected appropriately, and do they know how to look for what they're looking for, and can they match it? But there's always evidence. Some people you don't even need a degree to figure out what's going on. It's like I'll give you another one. They've been those crooks that have dropped their wallet with their driver's license, social security card, everything they need to find the dude. They're sitting at his house waiting on him when he shows back up. Oh no, I wasn't at that store, officer. I was out at the library studying. I'm a student. Is this your billfold? Oh, I must have dropped that at the library. Thank you. No, we picked that up at the scene of the crime. You're under arrest. There was these crooks one time. They had 2 or 3 bad dudes that went in and robbed. They had the driver. Now, I have a theory about drivers. It's not an in-depth theory. It's just a summation. It's just a thought. I think the driver is always the worst talented of the group. We can't trust you to go in, but you can sit in a car and keep the car running and drive us out. They're usually not the smartest one, so they don't trust them to go do the thing. And there has been those guys that drove off before. They chicken out. Just take off and leave the guy standing. Just, or they're the one that will squeal first. I didn't steal anything. I was just a driver. I know y'all are looking for them. Here's the guys. I'll give you their names, addresses, their aunts and uncles' names, everything. I'll tell you everything, officer. That's usually your driver. But they were in a place robbing it, and the car broke down. They come running out to pile in the car, and it sputters and dies, and they can't get it restarted. So they're trying to push the car down the road. And finally, they hear sirens, so they just it's every man for himself. They got every one of them. You know that guy. They hate that guy. Even if it's probably his car, too. I mean, if you're the getaway driver, it's your car. You don't drive somebody else's car. It's like, you got a car. You're the getaway guy. You just sit there and wait on us. Oh, my gosh. I pulled in behind a business once, and there was a guy backed up, and he was the driver. And there were 3 or 4 other people, and they were stealing out of a locked dumpster. They locked it because they would throw stuff in there that had some value. And so these guys have got bags of stuff. Well, as soon as I pull up, the getaway driver, he got away. Like, he floors it. He just takes off. 3 other guys. One guy, I called him Santa Claus because he had this big old bag on. He threw over his shoulder as he was running away. Unfortunately, the way away from me was down a hill. So when he slung that bag, it kind of twisted, and he went rolling down the hill, and the bag is rolling with him. and then two other guys are stumbling and bumbling and going, and they're just gone. And I hear a guy in the dumpster. So there was five of them, because it was three, the driver, and then this guy. So they took a full crew. I mean, they wanted to get as much as they could get. But he was the guy down in the dumpster passing up the stuff. So he pops out. I'm shining the light. This guy pops out. He goes, "Hey, where did they go?" I said, "Oh, they split, man." He was ticked off. He's like, "What do I do?" I said, "Well, what you can do right now is get out of that dumpster." He goes, "I'm under arrest." I said, "I'm not a cop, but you got to leave." "What?" "He's my ride." I said, "My suggestion, you start walking down the road. They'll probably pull back around and pick you up." He looked so helpless. "Hey, that's my ride." Oh, man. Yeah, that's the one thing about uh, it's to do a ride along would be just to hear some of the excuses and stuff. Uh, I watch some of those police shows, and some people are just comical. The things they will say, they truly have mostly heard it all, but even the ones that's been doing it a long time, every once in a while you hear them say, "I've been doing this job for 30 years. I've never heard that one." But they usually hear the same thing over and over and over again. You know, it's a sad, sad thing. And a lot of these people need to get help. They really do. But, oh, but I know people that it's a huge fight now. It's to get these dumpsters. But I know people that told me they made anywhere from $700 up to $1,500 in a week. But they said it's a lot of competition for it. You got to hit it at the right time. Then they get mad when you showed up because they're like, "Oh, man." But that's all they do every night. That's how they live. They hit dumpsters and they're looking for anything they can sell at a flea market. But that's what they told me. And there was this one girl and her husband, boyfriend, whatever it was. Oh, they had the whole headlight lamps all and all. They were professional now. They got to where they were digging at these things. And I dealt with this lady before, and she was all up in this dumpster hauling for her husband. The husband, he sees me coming. He just like, he don't even say nothing. He just goes and gets in the car, and she's hollering for him. And I'm sitting there, and she's going, "Hey, come here. I need your help. Why aren't you answering me?" And she looks up and turns and sees me. She just drops her head. She's like, "You got to be kidding me, man. Why couldn't you come along 20 minutes later?" She said, "I guess I got to leave." I said, "Yeah. What about all this stuff?" "Leave it. Somebody else will get it. This ain't right. This ain't fair." Well, I can't worry about the fairness of it, but just leave. She said, "What about the stuff in the car?" I said, "I ain't gonna worry with it. Stop where you are. Be glad you got something, but you gotta leave." Oh, but usually if you treat people right and stuff, they appreciate that, and they'll say, "I knew you was about to come around." I'm not on the road anymore. This is when I was driving security on the road. And they would say, "Well, we're leaving." They say, "You're always cool." I said, "I just wish you'd delayed yourself another few minutes, but we're leaving. We won't cause you any problems." I get it. They're trying to find a way to make a living during whatever they're going through. And the way they look at it, it's just trash. Why can't we go through it? And I said, well, it's private property, and they don't want you here. So, uh, well, Miss Jen, you have fun out there. I'm going to be getting off here soon. I've got to get ready for work, go run your errands, have a good time. Thank you for your support, Southern Fried. Not just support, your friendship of the SFP. You're a blessing. Every one of you are. Enjoy your Saturday. Yes, I do have to go soon and get ready myself and get out in this old blitz of heat. I don't even think it's supposed to rain today. I haven't looked, but I don't think so. And hopefully my Saturday's always, hopefully they left the key where it was supposed to be left and that the air conditioner works nowadays. If I've got those two things, I can handle the world. If they don't have air conditioning, I'm staying in my truck. I watch the park a lot, so. But I've met a lot of people. You meet the same people coming in and out. A lot of them. It's all good. I don't deal with the end of the store stuff, so that's on them. They got police for that. Again, tomorrow morning, Sunday morning in the Word. Tomorrow night, SFP News Desk. And be working on some other things behind the scenes. We might squeeze in one more show. We'll see. My sidearm of choice. Well, I'm not an expert, but if I had to guess, I've had a 380. I don't have it currently. I have a 44, but I haven't carried it. I just haven't. But I would probably go 9mm. 380 is a good one though. That's because it's smaller, you can tuck it. It's not heavy. But I would say somewhere 40, 9mm, 380, somewhere in there. If I had to say. It's one of those things where a lot of people are nowadays. And I know it's to that point. I've said it before. I don't care it. I just don't. It's something I've debated for some time. And well, one reason I didn't for a long time is because I've signed agreements. I gave my word around the granddaughter because of how she came to us. So that was in the house. I could probably, but I don't know what. I've just never messed with it. I didn't want to cause any problems, for her. But as she's growing up now and as she gets older, I'll probably start. But I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm being honest. I have mixed feelings about it. I am a full supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm a full supporter of constitutional carry, of all those things. Don't hear anything I'm saying think that I'm not, because I am. I am fully for the hunters, for hunting rights and all that. I don't want bad people to have them that shouldn't have them. Da da da. But for me personally, because I was never raised to really do that, I guess I just never have. I'm not against it. I just don't know how I feel about it for me. And there's been times I kind of wish I did. There's other times I'm glad I didn't have one with me. And those were examples reasons why I would say that. It just would have caused more problems probably. But I fully support people doing that. Doesn't bother me a bit. I see them on the hips of people walking around. It's all good. But for me, I just never have. My wife is supportive of people doing it. She don't want to carry. She just doesn't. Never has wanted to. So it's just. But if I was going to, that's where I would sit with that. I would probably go those somewhere in that. Man, like I said, I have bought a new one. I used to own the 380, and I had a Mossberg pump shotgun. I still have two weapons, but I don't carry them. Said he was telling a friend who works at ATF, and he says the one thing he hates having to pick up is these unregistered firearms that people buy at gun shows because of loopholes. Well, you know, I do not. I do not. I know. Excuse me. I know people's going to say I'm crazy. Some people. If I can get my throat clear, uh, I carry with me the presence of Almighty God, and I just pray for protection that nothing happens. That's what I do. I have ministered in the gospel in inner city, rough areas. I've done street work, street preaching, door to door, cultural areas that were very different from me, gang areas, inner city, probably don't like white people there, areas. And I've never, to this day, honestly, I've never had a problem. Use wisdom, discernment. If something don't feel right, don't go in. I'm not blind. I'm not stupid. But when God says go, I have perfect peace about it. And I go into an area or go to a person. And I have watched the hand of God keep bad people away from me. Down here in Florida, depending on where you are, you're allowed to carry a Bible. Okay. I carry nothing but a Bible. I really don't. I have no weapon. And again, I'm different. And people say, that's crazy, man. I wouldn't do that. I just never have. I use the prayer, I use my wit, my intelligence, my discernment. The only time in doing security that I felt like there's been a couple of times where I thought, if they pull the gun, I'm in a bad position here. I use the car because security. I'm not to engage ever. It's observe and report. So my car is a defensive. It's a defensive weapon. I mean, it could be offensive, and I have a phone, so I can always drive down the road and make a call. So somebody gets belligerent, I'm like, okay, I'm out. I always give people options. I've had people ask me, "Oh, you're going to make me move? You're going to make me do that?" Oh no, that's not my job. No. They said, well, I don't guess I have to move. I said, well, if you don't move, I'm going to call the people who can make you move. They're paid to make you move. And they can bring enough to make that happen. And they don't like that. But I always tell them, why push it like that? I'm sure you don't want to spend the night in jail. You don't want to get shot. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to be cuffed and stuffed. And if you've got a warrant and all that stuff, it's a whole lot easier just to walk away and move away. And most people listen to that, believe it or not. Let's see here. Let's see, Dave. Not to that level. Actually, the city I'm in has gotten very busy, and there is crime there. But I'd be honest with you. If I lived inner city, I that wouldn't change my mind. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it based on how I feel about it. And I've just never wanted to do it. For me, I have one. I could do it. I just never have wanted to. I have contemplated changing that opinion, but I just have never felt like I should. So, every good Irish hoodlum should carry a blackjack. I just am very cautious of. I'm a pretty good at observing people, and I analyze everything, and I really analyze. I have. This is how true that is for me. I have walked into restaurants, and I've told my wife, "We're not staying here," and she'll say, "Why? I want to eat." I'll say, "Something not good here. Let's go," and we'll just go. If it don't feel right to me, I'm out. And you just have to, I'm the kind of guy that kind of reads the room, reads the parking lot, reads the cars, who's in them. I just analyze all that stuff, and anything can happen, sure, but uh, to be very discerning is a great gift. To have the power of the Holy Spirit guiding that, it is a great gift. It's served me well. So I just get this feeling in my gut, and I either feel like it's a go or it's not. If it's not, I don't question it and I don't do it. I've been going down roads before and felt like I've got to get off this road. We have got to go, and we'll change and we'll go a different way. Even if we've traveled that road 1,000 times, sometimes I just feel like that there's danger ahead and I need to move. No, I've heard people say against and good. I'm not really into those movies, and so no, we don't do a lot of movies. And when we do, it's usually a faith based movie. So no, but nothing against it. I don't have any agenda here. I'm not really into the Superman movies or superheroes. I'm not against it. I just don't care for it. So I've heard some people here that have went to see it loved it. People that I know posted on their social media and said they loved the movie, and so that's cool. I just I try to take them to see things that have a message, a really strong, really good message that can be funny, but also very drive your emotions and really touch you deep within. The last movie we went and seen was it was a Kendrick Brothers movie, if I remember right, or Angel. It was God, I can't remember the name of the movie now. It was a really good movie. My whole family loved it. One before that was where the kid fell through the ice and all the medical things out of that. Oh, we watched the one where the girl needed the transplant, and that was a good movie. I wish I could remember the names of them. I look for stuff like that. Sometimes my wife will take and go with them, and they'll all agree on something that they all would like to see. It's always good. We're not going to let them go. We don't want to see it, and we don't take them to watch anything that is going to be filled with filth. So the problem is sometimes the previews are pretty bad, but we enjoy doing it as a family. I don't go to the movies all the time. I just do it just enough that it's really fun, and it's so expensive anyway. I mean, you take a family of four, and I'm usually taking six altogether. So it gets expensive, but we do it. We usually eat dinner before we go. We'll go have dinner and then we'll go to the movie. That's what we try to do. And then we'll buy them one snack, popcorn or something. I am in the club, so I get discounts through the AMC. It does help. It's still expensive, but it does help. You get the combos and stuff. I'm aware of him. I can tell you that I honestly don't know any of his music, but I will check it out. On your recommendation, my friend, I get his story. It's a cool story. He's got things turned around and everything, and I'm fully supportive of that. Absolutely. But I have not, I don't know the song, but I'll check it out. Yeah, I try not to. I mean, I insulate myself away from some things just because I don't want to be there. I'll study things, news, and sometimes young people are amazed at the things I'm actually paying attention to. They think because you're older, you don't know. I do try to stay invested into knowing about stuff. I never want to be a person that says, I don't know nothing about all that. But obviously, I don't pay attention to every bit of it. But I stay in tune. And doing podcasts, kind of need to be involved with some, knowing some things anyway. And Tara sent me some pictures. I'll have to. Oh yeah, you're there. That yeah. Is that the one? Or is that a different one? Oh, I like the artwork. I'll have to get those loaded down. Thank you, brother. Tara sending some pictures. But I'll check it out. And I do try to stay invested. Sometimes I know just enough that I can bluff myself through stuff. And I'll throw it in a sermon. And it just makes the eyeballs of the young people. Like, what's he fixing to say? I got some girls like that one day. I forget what it was. They were reading something they shouldn't be reading. And the older people went, what's that? I mean, you could see it in their face. The young people went, oh no, what's he fixing to talk about? My granddaughter talks about my big eyes. That's my big eyes. So I forget what that was. It was a book series that was filled risque, And I somehow worked that in and threw it into a sermon. And these college age girls who were being a little snooty, almost talking down to me, because I obviously didn't know what they knew because they were college girls. What does this country bumpkin know? I took that little attitude away and I said, I'll get you. I worked into the sermon and I threw that out there. They were playing on their phones. They wasn't paying attention. I threw that out there just for them. And the rest of the sermon, they were paying attention, following me all around the room, whispering like they didn't know where I was going to go. I had them in my hand. They were trying to figure out if I had read it. I know that's what it was. Like, he read that? No, I would never read the filth, but I knew of it. Or I'll tell you another one. And, parents have words, phrases, acronyms, and I've brought those out in sermons before, how to, you got to watch your kids and these code words they use and stuff. You need to stay up to date on what's being said. They can be texting right along. Might be some old perv on that social media and send them. You think it's harmless, but that's code for something. And I've thrown that stuff out there before too. A little education from the old to the young. I've seen some people. I'll tell you what I threw out there one day, and I definitely found one in my own. It was not a. They were a teenager, and I had no clue, but I spoke on cutters, and I obviously hit a home run because their parents were oblivious. They thought they just liked wearing hoodies and stuff. Always had long sleeves on, and I just kind of felt like maybe, so I hit the topic during the sermon, and the response let me know all I needed to know. So I kind of plugged into the parents and said, don't know if this is going on. Maybe you want to check that out. It happens a whole lot more than people know. Really got to pay attention to body language, how people do, how they dress, how they act. definitely raid those phones and go through them. You know, you're paying for it, and they're still a minor. I tell them that's just the way it is. My job's to defend you. You know, I won't be a Columbine High School parent who's not paying attention as the kids are carrying bombs past them and long rifles and baseball bags when they obviously didn't play baseball. Come on. Got to pay more attention to that. But I'll check it out, man. Well, I guess I'll get off of here. I enjoy it. I could go for a long time, man. I enjoy a conversation. It's a great Saturday. I slept a little late. Enjoyed that. I never get to do that. I'll be on the socials later. I'll be posting some stuff up. And give me a yell out or something if you're out there. You see me. And tomorrow, come join us. We'll be live at least 2 times, maybe 3. Probably 3 times. And I hope everybody has a great Saturday. Pray for the nation. And one last thing I'll say, they're saying Monday the president's going to make a huge announcement about Russia. He's fixing to get tough with them Monday, Tuesday. Let's pay attention to that. The Dan Bongino. Danny Bonbons, broski. Him or Bondi. Is it Bongino or is it Bondi? Which B is going to go? And I'm not saying that dirty. Bongino or Bondi. What they both say, the other one has to go. Cry me a river. Who's going to go? Who's going to make the walk? Everybody's calling for Bondi to be fired, but those are Bongino fans. I'm saying I can't even believe you're acting like they had a fight. That's obvious. I don't know if he really said he's taking a day to figure out if he wants to stay. If you have to take a day to figure it out, you're done. Just go ahead and check out. So I don't know what's going to happen first of the week, but big things going on. And over the Canada deal with the tariffs and penalties and all that, seems like they've worked out a deal. So that'll help. So we'll see. Let's pray for the Republic. Absolutely. Protect the Constitution. Citizens unite. Protect the good values of America. The good values of your home, your family. Hold these politicians accountable. Absolutely. But we're Americans. We're not going to take it anymore. Bullcrap. We'll see you soon. Take care. God bless. Get that song.
It's a complicated life for the southern people. Like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong. Don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you